She saw herself selling fake medicine to a sick old man, telling him it would cure his pain.
He died 2 months later.
Let me tell you a story that happened in my village not long ago. It is a story about a girl named Adana, whose name means her father's daughter. But Adana did not honor her father or anyone else. She only loved one thing: money. From morning till night, she looked for ways to get rich without working hard. She would borrow money and never return it. She would sell goods and cheat people with false scales. When someone trusted her with something valuable, she would find ways to keep it for herself. The elders shook their heads when they saw her. Her mother cried many nights, praying for her daughter to change. But Adana did not listen. She believed she was smarter than everyone else. She walked through the village with her head held high, wearing clothes she bought with money she did not earn honestly. Other young people whispered about her, but she did not care. All she wanted was more and more. And then, one day, a challenge came that would change everything. In our village, there lived a rich man named Okonkwo. He was not a good man. He loved to make trouble and watch people suffer for his entertainment. He enjoyed seeing others fail. One afternoon, Okonkwo sat under the big iroko tree in the village square, surrounded by people. He was drinking palm wine and laughing loudly. Then he saw Adana walking past, and a wicked smile crossed his face. Adana, he called out.
I heard you're the bravest woman in this village.
I hear nothing frightens you when money is involved. Adana stopped and turned toward him. Her eyes lit up when she heard the word money. What do you want, Okonkwo? She asked. He leaned forward.
I will give you 500,000
naira if you can sleep 3 nights in the old cemetery, alone. From sunset to sunrise. The crowd gasped. Everyone knew the old cemetery was not just any burial ground. It was sacred. It was where the ancestors rested, and they did not forgive disrespect. The villagers began to whisper among themselves. "She cannot do this," one woman said. "The ancestors will not allow it," said an elder. But Adana laughed. She laughed so loud that birds flew from the trees. 500,000 naira for 3 nights of sleep? That is the easiest money I will ever make. Okonkwo smiled his wicked smile. So you accept? Yes, I accept,
I
Adana
accept.
said without
I will
thinking.
start tonight.
I will start tonight. The
You
crowd
accept?
fell silent. Even Okonkwo seemed surprised that she agreed so quickly. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice cried out, "Adana, no! Please do not do this!" It was Chiamaka, Adana's childhood friend. Chiamaka pushed through the people until she reached Adana. Her eyes were filled with tears. "This is not just about bravery," Chiamaka said, holding her friend's arm. "The cemetery is sacred ground. The ancestors punish those who lie and cheat. You know the stories." Adana pulled her arm away roughly. "You are just jealous because you are too afraid to take this money."
Chiamaka's face showed deep pain, but she tried again. "I am not jealous. I am your friend. I care about you. Remember when we were children? We made promises to always look out for each other." Adana's expression turned cold. "That was long ago. We are not children anymore. I do not need you telling me what to do." She turned to Okonkwo. Give me something to prove I slept there.
I want everyone to know I won this challenge fairly.
I won
course,
this
I
challenge
understand.
fairly. Okonkwo handed her a small bell. "Hang this on the big gravestone in the center of the cemetery. Ring it every midnight to prove you are there." Adana took the bell and walked away, leaving Chiamaka standing there with tears rolling down her cheeks. The other villagers shook their heads sadly. That evening, as the sun began to set, Adana prepared herself. She took a mat, a blanket, and a small lamp. Her mother begged her not to go. "My daughter, please. Some money is not worth taking. This is dangerous." But Adana pushed past her mother and headed toward the cemetery. The old cemetery sat at the edge of the village, surrounded by thick bushes and tall trees that blocked most of the moonlight. During the day, it looked abandoned and sad, but at night, everyone said it came alive with spirits. As Adana walked through the rusty iron gates, she felt a chill run down her back. The air smelled like old earth and flowers left too long in the sun. She walked carefully between the graves until she found the big gravestone in the center. It was covered with moss and carved with symbols she did not understand. She hung the bell on it and spread her mat nearby. "This is nothing," she said out loud, trying to convince herself. Just old graves and superstition. The ancestors are dead. They cannot do anything to me." She lay down on her mat and wrapped herself in the blanket. For a while, everything was quiet, except for the sound of crickets and the wind moving through the trees. Then, exactly at midnight, the bell began to ring by itself. Adana sat up quickly, her heart pounding. The bell kept ringing, even though no wind blew and nothing touched it. Then, slowly, a soft light began to glow around the graves. Adana wanted to run, but her pride held her in place. "It is just my imagination," she whispered. But then she saw them, shadows moving between the graves, taking the shape of people. They did not speak, but somehow she heard voices in her head. They were showing her memories. She saw herself as a young girl, borrowing money from a neighbor and promising to return it.
may I
She
borrow some
never
money?
did.
I
The neighbor's
promise to
children
return
went
it.
hungry that week. She saw herself selling fake medicine to a sick old man, telling him it would cure his pain. He died 2 months later. She saw herself stealing from the offering box at the shrine, money that was meant to help orphans. One by one, the ancestors showed her the truth about herself. Every lie, every cheat, every person she hurt. Adana covered her ears and closed her eyes, but the visions did not stop. They were inside her mind now. When dawn finally came, the shadows disappeared. Adana was shaking and covered in cold sweat.
She stumbled out of the cemetery as the sun rose, her legs weak and her face pale. The villagers were waiting at the gates, surprised to see her. Okonkwo was there too, smiling his wicked smile.
The brave Adana survived the first night.
The brave Adana survived her first night. Adana tried to act strong. "It was nothing, just darkness and silence. I will come back tonight." But her hands were shaking as she took the water someone offered her. Chiamaka was standing nearby, watching with sad eyes. She approached slowly. "Adana, please stop now.
Please stop
One
now.
night is
One
enough.
night is enough.
Whatever you
Whatever
experienced, it is a warning."
It is a
Adana
warning.
glared at her.
I experienced nothing.
"I experienced
and I do not
nothing,
need your pity.
and I do
I
not
will
need
finish
your
all
pity.
3 nights and
I
collect
will
my
finish
money."
all 3 nights and collect my money." She went home and tried to sleep, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw the faces of the people she had wronged. That evening, despite her mother's tears and the elders' warnings, Adana returned to the cemetery. The second night had begun. This time, Adana brought a bottle of strong drink to give her courage. As darkness fell over the cemetery, she sat on her mat and drank deeply. The alcohol warmed her throat, but could not warm the cold fear growing in her chest. She rang the bell at midnight, as required. Immediately, the air became thick and heavy. It was harder to breathe. The shadows returned, but this time they were clearer, more solid. She could see their faces now. The first face she saw was the neighbor woman whose money she stole. The woman's children stood behind her, their eyes hollow and sad. Then came the old man she sold fake medicine to. His face was twisted in the pain he died with. One by one they came closer. But the worst was yet to come. From the deepest shadow stepped a figure Adana recognized immediately. It was Chiamaka, but not the present Chiamaka. This was a memory. The ancestors were showing her something from 2 years ago, something Adana had buried deep in her heart and tried to forget. Adana watched as the memory unfolded before her eyes like a terrible dream. She saw herself 2 years younger, standing in Chiamaka's family compound. Chiamaka's father had just died, leaving behind some money for her daughter's education. Chiamaka trusted only one person to help her keep it safe while she mourned, her best friend, Adana. In the vision, Adana saw herself taking the money, promising to guard it carefully. Then the scene changed. She saw herself at the market, spending that same money on expensive clothes and jewelry. When Chiamaka came weeks later to ask for her money, the vision showed Adana lying straight to her face. "Thieves broke into my house and took it. I am so sorry." The vision Chiamaka cried and cried, but there was nothing she could do. She had to stop her education and work as a housemaid to survive. Adana had watched her friends' dreams die and said nothing. The real Adana, kneeling in the cemetery, felt something break inside her chest.
No.
No, no, no!
The shadows grew darker and pressed closer. Adana could feel their judgment like heavy stones on her shoulders. For the first time in her life, she felt the true weight of her actions. She saw how her greed had destroyed lives, broken families, and killed dreams. The ancestors were not punishing her with physical pain. They were making her feel everything. The hurt, the betrayal, the loss that she had caused others. Tears began to fall from Adana's eyes. Real tears. Perhaps the first honest tears she had cried in years. But then, another thought entered her mind. A dark, selfish thought. If I confess everything now, I will lose the money. Everyone will know what I did. I will be shamed forever. The tears stopped. Her jaw tightened. I have come too far to turn back now, she said to the shadows. I will finish this challenge. I will get my money. The shadows seemed to pull back, as if surprised. Then they vanished completely. Dawn came quickly, but Adana felt no relief, only a strange emptiness. When she left the cemetery that morning, Chiamaka was waiting alone at the gates. The other villagers had stopped coming, afraid to be too close to whatever was happening. Adana, Chiamaka said softly, I know you are in pain. I can see it on your face. Please, talk to me. Tell me what is happening in there. For a moment, just a brief moment, Adana wanted to confess everything. She wanted to fall into her friend's arms and cry and apologize for stealing her future. But pride is a powerful thing. It wrapped around her heart like chains. Nothing is happening, Adana said, her voice hard. Tonight is the final night. Tomorrow I will be rich, and you will still be poor. That is the only truth that matters. She walked away, not seeing the tears that fell from Chiamaka's eyes. She did not see Chiamaka kneel at the cemetery gates and pray to the ancestors. Please, Chiamaka whispered, do not destroy her. Just help her see the truth. Help her remember who she used to be. All day, Adana felt strange. She could not eat. She could not sleep. Her body felt like it belonged to someone else. As evening approached, her mother held her hands.
My daughter,
I am begging you with everything in my soul. Do not go back there tonight. Keep your life. Forget the money. Adana pulled away. I have survived 2 nights. One more night, and I will have everything I ever wanted. Her mother's face crumpled. But what will you have truly won? Adana had no answer. She just grabbed her mat and headed to the cemetery for the third and final night. As she entered through the iron gates, the cemetery felt different. The air was electric, charged with something powerful. Every grave seemed to glow with a faint light. She walked to the center gravestone and hung the bell. This time, she did not even wait for midnight. The moment she sat down, the shadows began to form. They rose from every grave, hundreds of them, forming a circle around her.
Adana's breath caught in her throat. These were not just the people she had wronged. These were all the ancestors, going back generations. They stood in judgment, silent and powerful. The bell began to ring, but this time it sounded different, like a funeral drum, deep and final. From the circle of shadows, one figure stepped forward. It was old and bent, but carried an authority that made Adana's bones feel weak. The figure spoke, and its voice echoed through the cemetery and through Adana's soul. Adana, daughter of promise, child of greed. We have shown you your path of lies. We have revealed your betrayals. Still, you chose pride over truth. Still, you chose money over redemption. Adana tried to speak, but no words came out. The ancestor continued. You came to this sacred ground thinking the dead have no power. But we are the foundation on which the living stand. We are memory. We are consequence. We are the truth that never dies. Tonight, you will face the biggest truth you have been hiding, not just from others, but from yourself. The shadows parted, and Adana saw another vision forming, but this one was different. This one hurt in a way the others had not. She saw herself as a little girl, maybe 7 years old, sitting under a mango tree with young Chiamaka. They were making promises to each other. We will always be sisters, little Adana said. When we grow up, we will help each other. We will never let greed or jealousy come between us. Little Chiamaka smiled. Promise? I promise on my soul, little Adana said. The vision shifted. Now she saw teenage Adana and Chiamaka, still close friends. Chiamaka sharing her lunch when Adana's family had no food. Chiamaka defending Adana when other girls mocked her worn clothes. Chiamaka staying up all night to help Adana study for exams. Then came the moment that broke everything. The moment Adana stole her best friend's future and chose money over the person who loved her most. No! Adana screamed, covering her face. Stop! Please stop! But the vision continued. She saw Chiamaka working as a maid, washing other people's clothes, her hands rough and worn. She saw Chiamaka crying alone at night, not just for the lost money, but for the lost friendship.
She saw how Chiamaka still defended Adana to others even after the betrayal, still hoped her friend would return to who she used to be. The ancient ancestor's voice filled the air again. This is your greatest sin, Adana. Not just theft, not just greed. You murdered love. You killed the trust of the one person who saw good in you when no one else did. You broke a sacred promise made on your soul. And for what? For clothes that will fade? For money that will disappear? For pride that will crumble to dust? Something inside Adana shattered completely. All the walls she had built around her heart came crashing down. She fell to her knees, sobbing like she had never sobbed before. I am sorry. I am so sorry. But the ancestor raised a hand. Sorry is just a word, child. The ancestors deal not in words, but in truth and balance. You came here seeking money earned through disrespect of sacred ground. You refused every warning. You rejected every chance to turn back. You chose greed over growth. The shadows began to move closer, forming a tighter circle. Adana felt a strange pulling sensation, as if something was being drawn out of her. You wanted to take from the dead, the ancestor said. Now you will give to the dead. Not your life. That would be too simple. You will give us something more valuable. Adana felt a coldness spreading through her chest. What are you taking from me? We are taking your ability to find peace. Every time you touch money, you will remember everyone you hurt to get it. Every time you see your reflection, you will see their faces. Every night when you try to sleep, you will hear their voices. You will carry the weight of your choices until you truly make them right.
But we are not without mercy, the ancestor continued. There is one way to lift this burden. You must return everything you stole to every person you wronged. You must confess publicly what you did, and most importantly, you must earn back the trust of the friend you betrayed, not with words, but with years of honest living and true change. Only then will you sleep peacefully again. Only then will you be free. The shadows began to fade as dawn approached. Adana collapsed on the ground, feeling like her soul had been turned inside out. When the sun finally rose and the villagers came to the cemetery gates, they found a very different girl from the one who had entered 3 nights before. Adana walked out slowly, her head down. Okonkwo stood there with his money, grinning. Well, well, you actually did it. Come and keep your money, Adana said quietly. The crowd gasped. Okonkwo's smile disappeared. What? I said, keep your money. I do not want it. I do not deserve it. Adana walked straight to where Chiamaka stood at the edge of the crowd. She fell to her knees in front of her former friend. Chiamaka, I stole your school money 2 years ago. I spent it on myself. I lied to your face. I destroyed your dreams because of my greed. I broke every promise we made to each other. I am not asking for forgiveness because I do not deserve it. I am just telling you the truth. The crowd erupted in shock and anger. Chiamaka stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. In the days that followed, Adana began the long, hard work of making things right. She sold everything she had bought with stolen money. She worked 3 jobs to pay back everyone she owed. She confessed to every lie. Some people forgave her, many did not. But slowly, painfully, she began to change. It took 3 years before Chiamaka finally spoke to her again. It took 5 years before they could sit together without awkwardness. It took 7 years before Chiamaka smiled at her like she used to. Adana never became rich, but eventually she learned to sleep peacefully again. And in our village, we still tell her story to remind everyone. Greed always comes with a price. Lies always return. And no amount of money is worth losing your soul or hurting those who care for you. The ancestors are always watching, and the truth will always find its way to the light.